We're going to be going through the Achilles heels of all of last year's playoff teams. What part of the roster or what part of the coaching staff for some of these could potentially sink teams that were on the precipice of a Super Bowl last year? We're going to start with the teams actually that weren't on the precipice of a Super Bowl last year. We're going to start with our Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, work our way back down. Kyle, they don't have a lot of weaknesses. This is a good team. They are the reigning Lombardi champion holders for a reason, but there's got to be an Achilles heel somewhere, right? What do you got?
Well, I'll just go from the low-hanging fruit, the cliche stuff. Like, success is the Achilles heel. You've had so much success, and you and I have talked about this on the Push in the Pile podcast before.
It's like
You
Michael Scott.
wonder what version of the Philadelphia Eagles are we going to see? Is it going to be the confident group that's going to attain something else, or are they going to rest on their laurels? Will there be infighting? Look, there's been a lot of questions about this team, but one question I'll never have is about the talent that Howie Roseman has brought into the building, the way that the coaches at the different positions have developed their talent and they've gotten the most out of all their players. If I really had to have a gripe about this group is, are we going to see consistent play from their superstars up front? They've invested a lot in that defensive line. I'd love to see like guys like Jalen Carter be a down in, down out threat instead of the best player on the field every once in a while.
Yeah, see, I look at this Eagles roster, and you mentioned Howie Roseman. He's still dealing. He's still trying to improve it. They literally just traded for Jacorian Bennett from the Las Vegas Raiders today, right, to get him on that roster, the cornerback. And I agree. Like you go up and down, and anything you want to say is an Achilles heel, it really is a nitpick. Like from a talent perspective, there's no position unit on this roster you can point to and say they're even below average. There's not one. And you're saying the third down, and who do they have on third downs? Because they did lose some big pieces to that in Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, who obviously were like go-to guys. But I think they could even be like, there's a world where they're even better, right? Because their biggest impact
Yeah.
third down guys, some of them, like you mentioned, Jalen Carter, he was only in year two. Nolan Smith was only in year two. They have guy Moro Jomo was only in year two as well, and he'll be now. So like some of your guys who were impact players from last year should only be getting better, as well as you brought in some pass rush specialists. You know, Azeez Ojulari kind of took a prove it deal with the Eagles because he wasn't getting the market he was after his time in New York, and said he wanted to go to a spot where he can produce. And well, everyone basically that lines up and rushes the pass for Philly produces. Josh Uche, similar manner, has been known as a pass rush specialist over the course of his career. Signs a small prove it deal there with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I look at that defense.
Mike, Mike, I wonder what came first, the chicken or the egg, when it comes to production from rushers. I know the Achilles heel. I was like, who is your marquee go-to third down guy that's going to get sacks? But to your point, all these guys produce. Do you think it's because they go against the best offensive line in football every single day in practice, or do you think that Howie Roseman can really tap into this sixth sense of no, 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 this guy will produce. We just know that we're not going to miss.
To me, it's a confluence of things. One, that, iron sharpens iron. That can't be understated. If you have to beat Lane Johnson and then you do, chances are you can then beat any other right tackle in the NFL. So that helps. But then it's the fact that they go seven deep every year. And so anytime it's third down, there's no guy on the field who's a dud, who you're just like, okay, we don't have to worry about this guy winning his one-on-ones. Every guy could win their one-on-one. And when that's the case, and when you don't have to play 1,000 snaps a year, no one's out there down one, two, three. Guys get their rest. Guys rotate in and out. It just makes life that much easier. So if I'm looking for an Achilles heel, probably the only one is that they don't have a top OC. That's seemingly what it takes to sustain success in the NFL. A Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid, someone who's really doing it at that level, and they don't have the elite quarterback either at that level in terms of what he can do as a passer. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is a fantastic quarterback, but he's not Patrick Mahomes, right? He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Josh Allen. He's not these guys who keep you there year in and year out. So that's really the only thing that could be impacting them. But you know what? They'll be in the mix. They'll be a 1-2 or top wild card. This team is not falling off. No Super Bowl hangover here. Now, Kansas City Chiefs, team they faced, they have a little bit more question marks. They've been trying to cobble it together. They've obviously held very strong, but every passing year, it seems like they lose one more piece. What do you think the Achilles heel could be for this team?
Well, again, it's just the ability to sustain excellence for so long. Fatigue, that mental fatigue starts to weigh on you. But I think Patrick Mahomes is one of these guys that's immune to it. Even though they took such a beating in that Super Bowl game, you'd have to imagine they had to lick their wounds a little bit. But everything I'm seeing and hearing out of the Kansas City training camp is that this offense has hit the ground running. They're healthy in spots they haven't been healthy in almost a year. They're getting more experience out of some of these young receivers they want to get the most out of. And then the most important piece is, Josh Simmons at the left tackle spot. He's been great playing with physicality. My question is, as it pertains to physicality, will this defensive front seven be able to put their heels in the ground or gain some ground at the line of scrimmage when you're facing some of the league's best rushing units? As we've seen, some of these rushing units, if they can bully you in that first drive in the first quarter, it's going to be a lot of the same for the rest of the game. And that really changes the game plan for some of these great offenses who really never get a chance.
Yeah, my initial thought when I was talking about the Achilles heel of what could be for the Chiefs was the offensive line and what everyone talked about last year. But I think I agree with you. And the more I think about it, that this defensive front, not only how do they stop the run, but also who besides Chris Jones rushes the passer? I mean, George Karlaftis is a good, not great pass rusher. But if those two have to be out there every single down, you're in trouble. I mean, you don't have a plan C there. You don't have a third option who you really confidently can say that guy can win one-on-ones, and life just gets difficult for you when that's the case. But I want to go back to the offensive line, which is what I originally said, because as much as Josh Simmons looked great in training camp, and he is still a rookie, and there was still a reason he fell to pick 31, right? Right? So was it pick 32? They swapped pick 32. It was pick 32. They originally picked.
You're looking at a pick number 20 in the first round with 4 starts in college. Who took a trip to Hawaii that year. Now that just means the team was not very good, but rookies can go out there and play. Just go let your freak flag fly, as Aaron Cromer, my offensive line coach, used to tell me as a young rookie. That's what I would tell him, and I'm sure Big Red and all those guys are telling him that in that building. Man, oh man, they could keep the strength of strength if Simmons can be a guy at the offensive line position for the Chiefs.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yes. Like that's the thing is this could be not an Achilles heel. It could actually be a better unit than we saw, especially the one we saw in the Super Bowl. But then there is, even if Simmons is great, you're missing Tooney in left guard, right? Like you could set your watch to this interior offensive line last year when it was Tooney, Humphrey, Trey Smith. Like that was the best interior offensive line in the NFL, bar none. And so for as much as Mahomes had to worry about his blind side, he never had to worry about stepping up in the pocket, having that dish, as you love to call it, that clean dish for him to move up into. This might not be the case this year. That might not be the case. Kingsley Suamataia, whoever it is that wins that left guard position, there's no telling what that's going to look like. And so, rookie left tackle, question mark at left guard. We'll just see. But that to me feels like where teams are really going to target early on this season.
I know we got to go to break, but I want to say this schematically before we get out of here. Yes, they had Joe Tooney, and yes, they could swing him to left tackle, but him at his best position was left guard. You almost waste having Joe Tooney because he's next to another All-Pro in Creed Humphrey. Now you've kind of got that go-between really good players with Simmons and Creed Humphrey. They can do some different things from a protection standpoint, but now at least Patrick Mahomes knows that left tackle spot is going to be worth his salt.